Welcome back. Some big changes are coming to one of the state's largest races. Starting next year, the Twin Cities Marathon will move to mid-October. Heidi Wigdahl talked with race officials about the decision and the data that's driving it.
Every year, tens of thousands of runners from across the world come to the Twin Cities in early October for Marathon Weekend. Hundreds of thousands come to watch. So you can imagine it was a tough call for organizers in 2023 when they canceled due to record-setting heat, a first in the race's history.
I and everyone else woke up early, and around 5:15 in the morning, we got an email saying there will be no race today. And if you remember, emotions ran the gamut. I am very sympathetic to the race organizers, but I think maybe this is something that we can adjust for the future.
Dan Tannenbaum wasn't the only one with that idea. Twin Cities in Motion started a multi-year review of Twin Cities Marathon Weekend, which has taken place on the first Sunday in October for the past 45 years.
It's been a process to really look at where we are today and trending, and then looking forward in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Dean Orton, Twin Cities in Motion president, says the review shows that moving it to mid-October gives organizers a much better shot at ideal weather for runners.
Even the slightest of lower temperatures, a little less humidity. When we talked with our medical community, they made it clear that these are meaningful gains.
Organizers spoke not only to the medical community, but public safety, tourism organizations, runners, and state climatologists, including Kenny Blumenfeld.
We already had a warming trend that began around 1970, affecting early fall, but there's been this kind of acceleration, almost like a greater upward tick that's really occurred in the last 3 decades.
Data shows the average temps for early October are trending warmer.
But on average, a typical, October 5th is now much warmer than a typical October 5th was just several decades ago.
The marathon weekend dates starting in 2027 will now fall between October 10th through the 17th.
We also looked at even fall colors. And over 45 years, that too has changed.
Possible peak fall colors, another plus when the weekend's economic impact is nearly $50 million.
They want to maximize the fun experience for everybody who participates.
Donna Minter just ran her first marathon at 68. She's now looking to run with a charity, the TC 10 Mile.
Why not move the date a little later in the fall to maximize the chances that the weather would be perfect? Because you really want it like 40 or 50 degrees is a great temperature for running a marathon or any race.
Heidi Wigdahl reporting there. After one of their best World Cup runs in years, Team USA now sitting in the stands. Belgium beat the U.S. 4-1 Monday, kicking them out of the tournament. World Cup has no doubt garnered massive attention across the country this past month, but with the home team now out and the U.S.'s historic lack of enthusiasm for soccer, it is unclear whether the World Cup excitement will continue. Ian Russell talked with a few former Team USA stars about what the future of the sport looks like.
In the middle of summer, sports are top of these kids' minds.
You try to get it into a goal.
But above that right now is only one thing.
FIFA World Cup.
The United States is hosting the Men's World Cup for the first time since the early 90s. That was decades before these kids in Sane Foundation community camps were born.
I like to be goalie.
But that doesn't mean they aren't already fans.
USA is my home country.
The growth of the game in the U.S. has taken years. Something Tony Sane knows well.
They call it the beautiful game for a reason. Once you understand it, it's hard not to fall in love with it.
Sane played for the U.S. men's national team during the 2002 World Cup when the United States made a run to the quarterfinals. He's closely followed the current team's journey.
What a view!
And was in Seattle to see them lose to Belgium on Monday.
It was a lot of pressure, and we saw a young team make a couple critical mistakes due just to pressure.
Despite the loss, he says what happens next matters.
There's always a spike and then a dip. And the question is, how big is the dip? In 2031, we're hosting the Women's World Cup in this country, so there is a lot of opportunities to keep soccer at the forefront of what's happening right now.
Part of that momentum is forward-looking, but also looking back.
Remind yourself that there's been so much good soccer developed over the last decades.
Manny Lagos is the Chief Development Officer for Minnesota United. He also had a stint with the men's national team during the '92 Olympics in Barcelona. He says development is key going forward to make sure we have the talent pool for the next World Cup.
I know there's kids throughout this entire World Cup, boys and girls, that just saw that dream, and they're out there practicing today. There's no doubt, I think kids' participation will grow significantly because of the World Cup.
A growing game here at home, and one that's already looking ahead.
We let the world know that we're not a global power like France or Spain, but we're definitely on the right track.
Ian Russell reporting there. For decades, one Minnesota chef helped introduce hundreds of people to the bold flavors of the Caribbean. Now the community is remembering the life and the legacy of Harry Singh, the beloved restaurant owner who died last week at the age of 81. Jessica Hart looks back at the impact that he made.
They say a bite of Harry Singh's food,
it was hot, and it was hot a lot,
left your taste buds tingling.
You better not tell him you want it extra spicy because you will be dealt extra spicy. And we're not talking Taco Bell spicy.
Marla Jadunanen says her big brother was the first to bring island flavors to Minneapolis.
He was really a trailblazer, right? He started off the Caribbean food scene. He provided spices. He spiced up the food the way we would cook it back on the islands. And they loved that. And I think more so, they loved Harry.
Harry opened his restaurant in the 80s and worked behind the counter for decades.
He was known as the uncle of the community.
He passed away on July 3rd.
that flavor in the food was something that touched your soul, made you sweat, made you smile. Harry Singh
Fancy Ray McCloney
was a king. He didn't wear a ring, but he was the real thing.
says Harry perfectly balanced intricate flavors with heat.
But when I tasted the food, it was out of this world. You know, Harry Singh can make your taste buds ring.
His food might make your mouth burn, but nothing burned hotter than Harry's love for community.
He loved Minneapolis and St. Paul. He loved serving his food.
He was a great man. We will miss him a lot. He taught us what love was, togetherness.
Jessica Hart reporting there. Stick with us. More news and weather. It's coming up after the break.